right, time for another install video today, and today we're going to be doing the velocity stacks from BT Moto. This comes in a pack of 4, so there's 4 stacks here, and it comes with the stack itself, which is extremely lightweight, and also has a clip in here. So this little clip in here actually holds it to the air box. So in order to install these, we of course have to get the air box out of the bike. Now this will be good for 2010 through 2019 bikes, US of course, and if you're in Europe it goes up to 2018, so the 2019 is the Gen 4 bike. Okay, so to get this started here, what we're going to be doing is you can either take the seat off first, or you can take the top cowl off here first. So I'm going to be taking this cowl off. That's just here, 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 and this is on both sides. This one is on this side, and there's one over there on that side. Same with here, and there's one over on this side. And this one actually has an extra shouldered bolt on it, so make sure you reference that for this one. So I'm gonna pull these off here real quick so I can pull the top piece off. And of course I'll be using this. Of course you can use a ratchet, but I'm gonna be using just this on a gun. Real easy to pull the stuff off. You can use a smaller ratchet, and of course the T25 is a Torx. 25 has a little star pattern in it, so make sure you have the right tool for the right job. All right, once you got all the bolts pulled out of it, this should come right out. There it goes, and you expose the ECU now. Okay, so for the next step here, what we're gonna do is pull off the seat. That's this bolt right here, another T25, and over here, another T25. All right, once you unscrew it, the whole seat comes up this way, pulls up and out, because there's a clip here at the bottom that holds to the tank right there, so that pulls out. All right, and next step here, what we're gonna do is pull off the side fairings. Now these are pretty easy, they're pretty loose in the first place since you pulled off the top here and the seat. All we have to do is pull off this bolt right here on both sides, and this thing will slide out. All right, once you pull those bolts out, you'll notice it's still in there. There's a little tab in here you just kind of pull on. Pull, there we go, it pulls right out. Now in here, there should be little sliders like this, so if you pull it and it doesn't come out, don't just keep yanking. Make sure if you pull it, it doesn't come out, you slide it forward a little bit, and this will all pop out because you can see there's a hook on the tank here that goes right into there. You don't want to pull that out and break it. Same for both sides, by the way. All right, now that you have that off, you're gonna pull the tank off now. So the tank, you have to pull these breathers off. There's one on this side, one on this side. If you can't just pull it with your hand, because usually they're kind of stuck on there, I get a pair of pliers and kind of stick them where the metal is inside here. Just kind of move it back and forth a little bit to the point where this will pull right off. I'll show you a little bit how to do this. Okay, so I have a pair of pliers here. I'm gonna take it right there in the middle of the tank and just move this around so it loosens on the paint there. So now that's loose a little bit, I should be able to pull this out. See, pulls right out. Okay, the next step we're gonna do here is we're gonna pull the tank off the bike. So we're gonna take this off. It's a 10mm right here. And we're gonna take these off, there's one on each side, and that's a T30. So we'll start by just taking the back of the tank off here. All right, once you got all 3 of the bolts of the tank loose, the back of the tank and the 2 sides, move over to the front of the ECU. Here's the T25 bolt. You're gonna remove this, and this whole ECU will slide forward. You wanna slide forward because this kind of has like some kind of latch, I forget what this is called. Kind of C-clamp into the tank itself. You're gonna pull that out so the tank doesn't get hindered on the ECU while you're pulling it out. Now that that bolt's out, this slides forward. You just leave it right here for right now. We're gonna remove the tank. So the next step here is to obviously move this over. I'll show you kind of which way I put the tank if you're doing this solo, but it's always cool to have a friend help you because there are connections under this tank you want to be mindful of. There's 3 of them. There's the actual line that actually feeds the engine, that actual fuel comes out of, and then there's 2 for the pump. So you're gonna wanna pull this up and look at that. So if you have somebody to hold it for you to do this, that's great. I don't, so I'm gonna prop this up in a certain way that I can do this all myself. All right, so you can see I kind of set it on its side with the frame there. So if I'm gonna look at this from the top, it's sturdy, like I can't move it from here. So that's kind of how you want it. You want it to fall over or anything like that. And we have, of course, the feed line here and the 2 electrical lines. So I do use a small flathead, very small flathead to get in here and just kind of pry it open and just pull this out at the same time. So I've got this propped up right now, and I'm gonna put this in there. This is actually perfect. So Let's see if I can do this with 2 hands. There we go, comes right up just like that. Do the same thing for this one. And this one is actually just, you pinch it, and I'll show you that in a second. All right, so those are out of the way now, so I'm gonna take the feed line itself, and you can see there's a little clip right there. You push into it, it pulls out. And there'll be a couple drops of fuel, that's perfectly normal. Then the tank can free itself, and you can go ahead and put that to the side. Now we've got the tank on, we've got quite a bit of space here, and of course this is the objective. This big piece right here is the objective to pull off. Now in here, I want to make sure I'm clear on this to give you guys some pointers here. This is the fuel line, right? This is where it goes. There's actually a spot in the bay here that actually is made for this line. So you want to make sure when you put this back together, the line goes here, and this line goes like this, and this is kind of how it's clipping in. So when you're putting the tank back down, just make sure you're looking at how this is routed. Make sure it's not kinked, because if it's kinked, your bike will not start. All right, so the next step here is we're going to remove the ECU, which is pretty easy. What you're going to do is there's normally 2 zip ties, one right here and one right here. Cut and cut with dikes, but be careful. You don't want to make sure you don't cut the wiring harness. That's not going to be good. And then what you're going to do after you cut that is you'll have, now it's a little more free. You want to pull this out. This, of course, already pulled a little bit out, so you can see it just pulls out like this. And it's supposed to pull out like this, but I need 2 hands to kind of give tension on this. Once you pull this piece out, this piece you can drag back to, and then pull this out as well. You're also going to want to disconnect this to make sure you don't kind of bind, because this is connected to the wire harness as well. Okay, now that the ECU is gone, we got everything disconnected here. The next step, of course, can be getting the wiring harnesses completely out of the way. So of course, you still got some stuff attached here. This is the IET sensor, the upper injectors here, and even there's like some kind of clip or holder at the side here we got to pull this whole thing out of. Don't do that until you disconnect everything here. I don't want you to put extra tension on, or too much tension on something. On this side, we have a zip tie here. You're gonna have to put some dikes and cut that off. Then over here, this will pull out. And then of course you need to pry, well, I'll show you this in a little bit. So first step here, let's go ahead and remove the IET, which the IET is signified by a white wire, or sorry, this white wrapping around the wire. The injectors do not have that. Do not put the IET into an injector or an injector into an IET. You're gonna have some big issues when you put this all back together and try to start it up. So let's go ahead and remove all the clips. And this is real easy. Let's see if I can do it on the phone here. This one, of course, just push in, pulls out, done. Same thing with these. I just kind of put a little tension on it like there. I should be able to bring it out, but I probably need 2 hands for this. So let me go ahead and get all this stuff out. Okay, now we've pulled all the injectors out, and IET sensor, even a little bit more free in here. I've even removed this, cut that piece right there with the dikes, and remove this wire harness out here together. This, you have to pinch together and then pull out. So what I do is I take a pair of pliers on here. I'm gonna need 2 hands. A pair of pliers on there, and this thing should just finagle out. It's very stiff, very stiff. So when you even move it out, it may wanna go back in there. You have to like really kind of jam it over there to make sure it doesn't go back in there again. Let's do that real quick. All right, now you got this removed and over to the side. What we're gonna do next is go in here and just remove all of these pieces. This is gonna be the air filter and the induction box. Little pieces here, we can just unclip this, unclip that. There's a, let me see if I can get a screwdriver in here real fast. So we'll put a little screw, there's a little hole, or sorry, there's a place for a screwdriver that goes in there. That pulls out, and this pulls out from there. All right, once that's out, just pulling this comes out freely. That's the side. We've got this moved out of the way. This should come right out. Had to use 2 hands there to get it kind of free here. So once you get to this point, sometimes you just gotta run your finger down here to get this air filter completely out. So it should pull right out. It has a little bit of difficulty, but it comes right out like that. It comes with the filter and part of the induction box there. We'll put that to the side too. All right, this is something similar to how yours should be looking at this point. What we're gonna do next here is pull out the upper injector rail that will come out with the injectors. So these are T25, there, 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 and there. And then we'll wiggle this out, which I'll show you in a second. Okay, now I got those screws pulled out. I'm just gonna give a little bit of pressure in here on the rail. You can see it all pops out with the injectors. We can just move that over to the side like that. All right, the next thing we're gonna pull out here is this servo motor, because it's attached by this, and you have to really have a very specific tool to get in there to get this wire out. So we're just gonna have to pull it out and just pull it out with a flat head, this wire harness, and then install it back in there, and then we can slide it back in there later. So this will be a T25. Pull out all 3 of these bolts. All right, once all the bolts are removed, you can kind of pull from here. This will pull up. This is connected through the, I think about right there, to the center of this thing. And we're just gonna keep pulling. You'll hear it kind of snap. There it goes. All right, don't freak out, it's supposed to do that. And under here is where we're gonna put that flathead screwdriver in there, pry it up a little bit, and just pull in here, and this whole harness will come right out of there. We can reinstall this. Okay, so now we got the wiring harness out of there. We have to reinstall this, and you can see there's a very specific way this thing goes back because it controls the valve in here. So I'm gonna show you how to do this. So you see how it's like this? This is gonna line up like this. So if you orient this way, you can see it needs to be straight, right? There's a thing that needs to be straight there because it has 2 ends on it. Put this right here for right now. And you can see in the hole here, there's nothing yet. There it is. Now we have to turn it a little bit till it's like that. So you're gonna have to have one hand hold it like this, and the other hand put this sensor back in. It'll click back in, and it'll line up with these holes again. Then we can install the bolts again. All right, now it's properly installed again, and all we have to do later, when we put this all back together again, is slide this in. You'll find it's very easy to get that back in there and just clips in. All right, this is how your airbox should look. I have the wiring harness move over to completely to the side now. I have this wiring harness moved out of the way. This, don't worry about this because this is actually, this is a triple charger, and this guy installed it here. Usually these come out to the subframes. He put it here, so don't worry about this. Your bike will not have that. These lines will stay like this. So now all we gotta do basically is pull this bolt out, this bolt out, this bolt out, and this bolt out. Let me get the sizes for you here in a second. All right, so these bolts are gonna be T30s on all across the top of the airbox. Pretty easy to pull out. The top ones shouldn't give you too many issues. They're really easy to deal with. The ones that are nasty are these bottom ones. And I try to get zoom in. These bottom ones here, these 2. Some reason they are just always nasty to get to pull out and put back in again. So just make sure you're careful with them because this one on this side on this bike was completely skewered, and I had to use all kinds of tools to try and get this one out. So pull all 4 of them out. The 2 ones are easy to do. When you're putting these back in, just make sure you're very careful and let them cross thread the bottom ones because these ones tend to love doing that. Okay, once you get the 4 bolts out, this will be free to move. Just go ahead and start pulling it out of the bike. You'll notice it is kind of hung up a little bit, and it will be hung up on this right here. And that's just a crankcase breather right there. So we're gonna pull that off right now. But make sure when you're pulling this out that this is out of the way because this will want to catch on everything. Make sure your wiring harnesses are pulled out of these clips. These plastic clips are on the side of the airbox. So it's not binding on anything. It should be nice and loose like this. The only thing we got is this. So I'm gonna get a pair of, there it is. I'm gonna get a pair of pliers here and show you how to pull that off. So once you get your pair of pliers, I'll just pull this off, but it came off so easily. You're gonna wanna put the pliers not like this and push. That's not gonna do anything. The pliers need to go kind of sideways at an angle, and then you pull it like this, and the whole thing comes apart. Basically, you just kind of squeeze it apart. It isn't like you pushing it together, it's just kind of pulling it apart, and it just snaps open. Once it's free, you can just kind of pull the airbox and twist, and this will all pull out what you're pulling down in this. All right, once you pull the airbox out, this is what it should look like here. Make sure you keep this clip somewhere safe. Make sure it doesn't pop out and fall somewhere you don't know where the hell it's at. And if you want to change your spark plugs out, hey, now's a great time. You can get a quill puller and some new plugs. I'd recommend some OEM ones if you're just running NA stuff. Now, the rest of what we need to do here is going to be in that airbox. So let's get to that. Okay, so this is the inside of your airbox, and this is what we're replacing. 1, 2, 3, and 4 of them. Pretty easy. They're made of like rubber. So when you see on this side, pull it, comes through, comes out. Do it all 3, all 4 of them, not 3. Okay, I'm gonna try to make this as easy as I can for you guys, okay? So this is how they come. They come already with the clip already assembled onto the velocity stack itself. So to get it off, you can see there's an end here that there's a little bit of light shining through. I put a flathead screwdriver under there and kind of pried it, and this whole clip will pop out, right? You can kind of see it right here. It's kind of half popped out. Once you pull this, like, it comes out real easy. Now it's done, right? And this is the clip itself. And this clip, you're gonna have to slide in, after you get on the stacks, slide it in like this, And what I do is I hold on both sides and I just kind of work my way around it and it'll all pop in. If you need to, use a flathead to kind of just pry it down in there while you're going through around the bead like that, and it'll pop right in. Just make sure you hook this side in first. I think this side will be a little bit harder to hook in first. And then I already have one inside the air box here. I've assembled already. See if I can, you guys can see it in there. See the bottom right there, the way it's all clipped in? Right there. And let me see here. It's very firm, very firm. It's not really going anywhere. I mean, honestly, it has a hair space of moving around, but it's very firm in there. Probably more firm than the stock pieces. So you want to do that for all 4 of the holes here. And then all you're gonna do is put it back together again, and that's it. All right, so I pulled the box out here so you guys could see it in the sunlight. Right there, that's how it should look. All the clips, after doing them all, became really easy. Push it through the bottom here. I hold it like kind of like with one hand like this, with the other hand like that on the other side of the hole. And when I push the ring in, I start on this side, and this side kind of clips in. And as I'm holding it on the bottom and on the top with both fingers, kind of like this, you can roll your finger around it. It'll just kind of push into it, or you can use a flathead, whatever is easiest for you. But there it is. That's the final product. Now all you gotta do is install this back onto your motorcycle, and of course, you're gonna need either a revised flash from BT Moto, or you're going to need to do your own fueling, whether it's a Power Commander, Bazaz, you have your own tuner, whatever the case may be, but the fueling needs to be adjusted for these stacks. So for you guys that have the 10 through 14 bikes, this of course is a 15 through 20, this is a 2018, or sorry, 15 through 19, so a 2018 bike. If you have a 10 through 14, these are what needs to be replaced here, these center stacks. And of course the 15 through 19, you don't need to worry about anything, but the 10 through 14, those have to be replaced to get the advertised numbers. So you either need a donor box from a 15 through 19, or to buy the box and get this piece, these out of it. So this is all one piece, it clips there. So yeah, there it clips in the center there, and there's a clip over here. Those will all unclip and you can pull the whole thing out. You're gonna have to, of course, remove the IET sensor. You're gonna have to remove the sensor we removed before, or sorry, the servo we removed before, and kind of move this out of the way so you can pull this out and then put the new one in, and then put it all back together again. Pretty simple stuff, to be honest with you. It's just a little bit time consuming. So again, 15 through 19 guys don't have to worry about this part, but 10 through 14 guys, they need this part from a 15 through 19 donor bike. All you have to do is put the air box back onto here and reverse the order of everything we just did. You should be 100%. Just take note, like I said, the bottom bolts here in the air box, be very careful with them. Be, of course, careful with anything with fueling with injectors. Just basically put it all back together exactly as it was before.